Season 2, Chapter 1, Dawn of the Strike Squad. After the forest siege, after the silence, after the zombies vanished without a trace, Crazy Dave knew the tide had turned. But he wasn't foolish enough to think Zomboss would give up. Inside his new underground fusion bunker beneath the forest, Dave moved fast. The Fusionizer Mach 2 was still hot from the Catling Doom experiment, and now it was time to bring 4 more fusion warriors to life. This wasn't just about defense anymore. This was war. Fusion 1, Sunwood. Sunflower, glowing stronger than ever, stepped into the pod with Torchwood. Light met fire. Photosynthesis met flame. The result, Sunwood. A blazing plant with radiant solar armor and a flaming aura. It both heals nearby plants with solar pulses and sets zombies on fire with every burst of sunlight. Support and assault in one glorious inferno. Fusion 2, Chomp Bomb. Chomper grinned wildly as Cherry Bomb rolled into the chamber beside it. Dave backed up. This might get spicy. Boom! Emerging from the smoke was Chomp Bomb, a fast explosive striker that leaps forward, chomps a line of enemies, and detonates after taking out high-priority targets. It's a living guided bomb with teeth. Fusion 3, Walnut Pult. Walnut and Melon Pult rolled into the chamber together. One for defense, one for cold, crushing impact. The result, Walnut Pult, a hulking tank that slowly lobs frozen melon chunks, which slow enemies and deal splash damage, while shielding the front lines like a fortress on legs. All 3 stood in formation as Catling Doom approached silently, standing tall, scanning the distance. He was now commander of the Plant Strike Squad. Dave walked out of the lab, hands behind his back like a general. Time to take the fight to Zomboss. Meanwhile, in the depths of Zomboss's fortress, Dr. Zomboss floated down the dark halls of his factory, passing rows of glowing tanks. Inside each one, a half-formed Zombooni. Unlike the Cherry Zombooni, these were mass-produced. Not as smart, not as advanced, but they had plant heads bolted on, pea shooters, cabbage pults, repeaters, and even potato mines wired with zombie brains. These were Zombooni's 2.0. The Plant Strike Squad is leading the front lines with the normal plant army backing them up, and Catling Doom is just casually farming zombies with that silent, unstoppable aura like a Grim Reaper made of leaves and ammo. Let's dive into the next chapter. Season 2, Chapter 2, The March to Zomboss. The forest behind them burned low with the light of victory. The path ahead? Twisted roads, abandoned graveyards, and bridges made of bone, leading straight to Zomboss's main fortress, hidden deep in the dead zone known as Grave Sector X. In the lead, Catling Doom, silent as ever, walking forward without even aiming. His presence alone erased zombies. The second they entered his invisible range, their heads simply fell off. The air warped around him like reality didn't quite agree with his existence. Sunwood followed behind, lighting the path and boosting nearby plant units with radiant solar energy. Chomp Bomb leaped ahead, ambushing any ambushers, blowing up choke points and tearing into elite zombies. Walnut Pult trudged along, shielding the army with hulking melon chunk bombardments, freezing zombies into shattered pieces. Behind them marched a vast army of normal plants, pea shooters, ice peas, walnuts, puff shrooms, even a few magnet shrooms clinking as they yanked off zombie helmets. It was going smooth. Too smooth. Until they passed the outskirts of Grave Sector X. Then it changed. The dirt shifted. The sky darkened, even though it wasn't yet night. The zombies here were different. Out came the reinforced Zombounis, mass-produced zombies with pea shooter heads fused to their skulls. Some even had frozen cabbages and snorkel spikes attached to their backs. They weren't smart, but they were brutal. They moved faster. They took more hits. And they didn't fear Catling Doom. One Zombouni got close. It launched rapid-fire peas from its face while swinging a rake. Catling Doom turned slightly, 4 barrels rotated once, and the Zombouni's head was gone before the sound caught up. But they kept coming. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. In Zomboss's control chamber, Zomboss watched through dozens of zombie cams, cackling madly. Let's see how long your little squad lasts. Now, release the special units. Metal gates opened. Out walked creatures that weren't just zombified, but mechanically enhanced. Fusion failures, glitched abominations. One was made of 3 potato mines stacked on top of each other like a totem. Another had the body of a gargantuar and a torchwood where its heart should be. They were unstable, and they were headed straight for the strike squad. Season 2, Chapter 3, The Destroyer Awakens. The battlefield near Gravesect sector trembled as the failed Zomboss fusions charged forward, mutated disasters with plant parts where they didn't belong. They roared like broken machines, glitching as they ran. Catling Doom stood still. One spin of his quad-barrel turret, bang, one down. Bang, two injured, leaking ooze and sparks. But they didn't stop. The failed fusions were unstable, yes, but they had one job: delay the strike squad. Sunwood burst forward, launching waves of burning solar energy, keeping the front lines lit up like a second sun. Walnut Pult slammed down Frozen Melon after Frozen Melon, slowing the attackers until Chomp Bomb leapt forward and blew the last one apart in a burst of flaming vines. The battlefield fell silent, until the ground cracked beneath them. Uh-oh. Crazy Dave mumbled from his comlink, "That's not supposed to be shaking like that." ZRM. ZZZ. The dirt exploded. Metal debris flew sky high. Rising from the underground was a massive, armored beast, towering over every other zombie built before. Zomboss's new secret weapon, Destroyer 5900. Powered by fusion reactor cores, arms like excavators, its right arm was a giant plant-crushing hammer. Its left eye was a Gatling P-head stolen from a Zombooni prototype. It let out a mechanical scream that echoed for miles. "Now you face oblivion," it said in a deep robotic voice. Meanwhile, in Sector 90, no alarms, no turrets, just silence. A lone pea-shooter, codenamed Jeff, had snuck deep inside Zomboss's fortress during the chaos, crawling through vents, hiding behind crates of unused zombie heads and corrupted plant DNA. He had one mission: find the fusion core. He was almost at the control room when he heard a deep, slow thud. Then another, and another. He peeked around the corner. A gargantuar. It had spotted him. Little P, lost? The gargantuar growled, a traffic sign weapon behind it. Jeff's eyes narrowed. He didn't run. He loaded up his P-launcher. Season 2, Chapter 4, Sparks and Sacrifice, inside Zomboss's Fortress Sector 90. The gargantuar's roar filled the hallway as it swung its massive arm toward Jeff. Swoosh. Missed. Jeff snapped a quick P into its eye, causing the giant zombie to stagger and growl in pain. He ran, launching a storm of Ps as he dodged crates and wires. The hallway was barely wide enough, and it didn't matter. The gargantuar caught him. One massive hand closed around Jeff like a vice grip. "Gotcha, Sprout," it growled. But fate, or gravity, had Jeff's back. Above them, a steel shelf holding a broken-down Zombot drone gave way. Crash! A huge metal crate slammed down on the gargantuar's head, and it collapsed like a chopped tree. Unconscious, not dead. Jeff dropped to the ground, coughing, battered, but alive. "No time," he muttered, limping forward. He moved deeper into the base, and there it was, the main electric control panel glowing green with zombie energy. Jeff aimed his P-launcher. Meanwhile, outside, the Battle of Grave Sector X. Destroyer 5900 raised its massive fusion arm. Wham! It missed the strike squad by inches, tearing a trench into the ground. Before it could swing again, Catling Doom fired. Every barrel spun, bullets lighting up the dusk like a fireworks show. Sparks burst from the robot's right arm. It staggered, but didn't fall. "Structural damage detected," it droned. "Engaging lethal mode." Its mouth opened. A devastating laser blast erupted, sweeping across the battlefield. The normal plant army was vaporized in seconds, a wall of ash and fading green leaves. Sunwood screamed in pain, her golden leaves scorched. She collapsed. "No!" Walnut Pult bellowed. The gentle tank grabbed her in his arms and sprinted away from the front line, Melon Pults blasting over his shoulder for cover. Back in the fortress, Jeff looked at the panel. His tiny green hand hovered over the lever. For Sunwood. For all of them. He yanked the main switch down. The power shut down. All lights in Sector 90 went dark. A siren started to wail. Chapter 5, Mushroom Rising. The dust settled on the battlefield. Gatling Doom stood alone, smoke spiraling from his overworked barrels. His once calm expression was now pure rage, glowing with fury. The wreckage of Destroyer 5900 lay scattered across the field, a steaming heap of metal and zombie wires. Shards of its fusion core pulsed faintly before dimming to black. Target eliminated. Gatling Doom whispered, voice low and deadly. Walnut Pulp turned back just in time to see the explosion. He grinned through his melon-cracked shell. Sunwood, still hurt but recovering, raised a weak vine in salute. But the battlefield wasn't silent for long. Meanwhile, inside Zomboss's fortress, alert! Sector 90 power room has an intruder. Initiate lockdown protocols, reboot power grid, do not let him escape. Dr. Bag slammed his metal fists into the command console. Who is in my base? How? His eyes darted across the monitors until one grainy camera finally caught the intruder. A pea-shooter? Are you serious? He snarled. Send everything to Sector 90. If the backup power from Sector 89 doesn't come online, we can't awaken the Destroyer 59-1 back outside. The shockwave from 5900's destruction echoed into the woods. Deep in the shadows, the ground trembled again. Tiny glowing spores floated up from the soil. First came the puff shrooms, marching in eerie silence. Then the fume shrooms, eyes burning with vengeance. Behind them, the fusion shrooms from the last siege, now stronger, enhanced by leftover fusion energy. Stood tallest among them, eyes glowing purple and black. Its voice echoed through the ground itself. The balance has tipped, the fungi return. They had felt the destruction, and they came not for defense, but for revenge. The battlefield lit up with spores and glowing shroom eyes as the mushroom army joined the strike squad. Gatling Doom turned toward them, nodded once. They nodded back. Meanwhile, Jeff was still inside enemy territory, and alarms were getting closer. This just escalated. Season 2, Chapter 6, Unleashing the Uncontrollable. Shaft. Inside Zomboss's fortress, Sector 89 access hall. Jeff sprinted through dimly lit corridors, alarms blaring red, dodging scanner beams and half-constructed zombots. He was just meters away from the Sector 89 power room when... Hands up! Pea-shooter! 3 hulking zombie guards cornered him, rifles ready. Before he could aim... Wham! A stun round hit Jeff, and everything went blurry. His knees gave out. As they dragged him toward the capture room, the heavy gates ahead hissed open. Until... BOOM! The main entrance exploded inwards like a thunderstorm, rubble flying everywhere. Gatling Doom burst through the smoke, cannons spinning at full power. You took one of ours, he growled. Now we take it back. Bullets and blasts rained through the hallway. The force shook the entire fortress. The steel floor beneath the capture team gave way, collapsing under the pressure. The zombies dragging Jeff plummeted into the sublevel with a scream. Jeff landed on the edge of the broken floor, dazed but miraculously unharmed. Gatling Doom stomped in, followed by a surge of mushrooms, their spores thickening the air. Alert status, Omega Red, all sectors. In the upper control tower, red lights pulsed like veins through the walls. Dr. Zomboss stood still. Then he slowly reached forward and pressed a glowing black button. You forced my hand. Now witness perfection in chaos. Sirens erupted across every floor. Warning, unstable biofusion containment breach. All personnel evacuate. 10 armored gates, each a foot thick and magnetically sealed, slammed open, one by one. From behind them emerged a shadow. The Uncontrollable. A nightmare-born monster. It had mutated chomper jaws and glowing doomshroom veins. One arm was a zombified melon pulp cannon, the other a scythe made of frozen pea shards. Its face flickered between zombie and plant features, and inside it pulsed a black and red orb, a corrupted fusion core. Every step it took melted metal and shattered walls. Target anything alive, it growled. It looked toward the marching mushrooms, the strike squad, and even the fortress itself. Jeff stood up slowly, barely believing what he saw. What is that? Gatling Doom's cannon barrel slowed as he stared too. Even he didn't know if he could handle this. It's here, and nothing can stop it. Season 2, Chapter 7, The Thing That Shouldn't Exist. The air vibrated with tension as the Uncontrollable charged. Each of its thunderous steps cracked the floor beneath it. Its eyes glowed with the fury of 1,000 failed fusions. Gatling Doom didn't hesitate. Dah! Every cannon fired. High-velocity Doom peas struck the abomination's body with blinding force. Behind him, the fusion shrooms launched their attack. Doom Fume shrooms unleashed a vaporous black burst that mixed toxic spores with mini Doomshock blasts. Freeze Hypno shrooms shot chilling spores that slowed time around the monster. Boom! The explosion was massive. It lit up Sector 89 like a miniature sun. The force threw rubble, metal, and even zombies into the air. Smoke swallowed the hallway. Silence. Then, thump. And again, thump, thump. Through the smoke, it walked, unharmed. The uncontrollable roared, a warped, otherworldly sound like 1,000 voices screaming at once. Its body burned with a dark red energy now, almost as if the attacks made it stronger. It charged again. Slam! A fume shroom was crushed under its feet. Smash! A puff shroom vaporized in one backhand swing. Even Gatling Doom was knocked back from a shoulder bash that sent him through a wall. Jeff, wide-eyed, scrambled toward a broken vent. We can't stop that thing. Not like this. Zomboss, watching from the tower. Dr. Zomboss watched with quiet satisfaction. They thought fusion was theirs alone, but this is evolution. Behind him, backup zombie generals prepared for deployment, including the second wave of Zombaunish, each more stable and deadly than the first. Uncontrollable will destroy them all, or fuse with them to become something greater. Back on the battlefield, Gatling Doom rose from the rubble, dented but not broken. He looked at the approaching beast. Fine, round 2. But even he knew this wasn't just a fight. It was survival. Season 2 finale, The Fall of Doom. The fortress shook as the uncontrollable lunged forward. Gatling Doom stood his ground, battered, sparking, but defiant. He aimed both cannons straight at the monster's chest. I'll stop you if it's the last. But it was. With a terrifying roar, the uncontrollable grabbed Gatling Doom mid-fire, lifted him into the air, and crack! In a flash of crushing force, he was gone. The metal remains of the strongest fusion warrior scattered across the battlefield. His core flickered once, then darkened. The strike squad's leader had fallen. Jeff, watching from behind twisted rubble, froze. No, Gatling! He turned and ran, heart pounding, tears mixing with dust and smoke. Behind him, the zombies began to move in, sweeping through the fortress, clearing out mushrooms, debris, and whatever remained of the strike force. Far away, deep in the woods. In a hidden outpost, Crazy Dave stared at the screen. He saw it all, the collapse, the explosion, Gatling Doom's final stand. No, they weren't ready for this. He slammed his fist down, then jumped into his modified RV. Its engines screamed to life as he floored the pedal. Hold on, kids, I'm coming. As the fortress started to fall into Zomboss's full control, Dave's RV crashed through the outskirts. He scooped up the surviving heroes, Sunwood, injured but still glowing, Pultnut, shielding her with all his strength. Jeff, silent and shaking. The doors slammed shut, and they vanished into the trees. We'll regroup, we'll rebuild, and next time, we won't just fight. We'll finish this.